What about vision boarding? Does that help?
Look, I can see why vision boarding would help a lot of people. I don't vision board. What I do is create something called a becoming board.
Okay.
And that is everything that I want to strive towards. So it's less materialistic things. It's less like, having a nice house on my vision board or a nice car. It's more the impact that I want to create in the world. So that becoming board is super powerful because it's my reference point to keep reminding me, even when I feel really rubbish about myself, which we all have, those days where we're like full of self-doubt. Why am I doing this? I just want to quit and, retire, go to an island somewhere and start a bar, like completely leave the life that I know. It reminds me and it brings me back to my center. And I think that all of us have this center purpose. And there's always a question of, okay, but purpose is such a big thing. How do I find it? It's as simple as what brings you joy? What makes you come to life? That is your purpose.
So what if it's something like going to Pilates?
Yeah, I think that's powerful though, right? It's powerful. It's going to Pilates. That makes me feel alive. Okay, make sure you never stop that because that is going to be the center and your nucleus. I think there's a misconception that your purpose always has to turn into a business or...
That's so true.
Right?
Oh my God.
And I think that why?
That's
Why
so
can't my
true.
purpose just be really loving going to Pilates 3-4 times a week, still having a job on the side, but still making me feel good about myself? Yeah.
And having that distinction.
Yeah.
But that comes with the clarity. So I think what a lot of people have asked me in the past as well is that you don't get it because you're so confident. And I think people don't realize that I was never this confident, right?
Yeah.
It's been such a journey for me. And I've really had my fair share of, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to face anyone. What am I doing? Kind of doubting myself. I've moved countries twice. So that's been like mentally taxing, kind of trying to create new connections, create new friends, create new communities. Always pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is not the kindest thing you do. But what about you? Have you always been this confident?
No, never. What you see today is a product of a decade of working on myself. I was actually quite a mute when I was a little girl. I was the quietest in the room, wouldn't even make eye contact with people because I didn't want them to speak to me. I barely had a voice. I didn't feel like I had a space to speak up. And I accepted my position. And I feel like that's what a lot of us do. We accept that this is our personality and it's our character. Oh, Nimi, she's quiet, don't worry about her, was always the narrative. And you believe that narrative, once it's built over time.
Also because it's said repeatedly, right? Exactly. Whatever is said in repetition, we believe is our reality.
Exactly. But based on that then, if we change the language and repeat it in a positive way that has a positive impact on us, proof that it can be changed. Right?
Yeah.
So if we hear something positive on repeat about ourselves all the time, I am confident, I can show up as myself, I speak very powerfully, we'll start believing that narrative instead of, Nimi, she's the quiet one. Nimi doesn't talk to anybody. So that being said, it was just such a process for me. And I think the first thing, and I think that back to our Indian culture, is the voices around us that were speaking not so great about us, that didn't allow us to come out of our shell. A lot of us sometimes don't have a choice because a lot of these people are like in our family and they're blood related. Yeah. And you're like, how do I hold boundaries with people? Which is a whole other conversation.
But what are some things that you've heard?
Yeah, some of the things that I've heard is, when I said I wanted to become a TV host, and this was just a far-fetched dream, obviously, because I'm this quiet girl that, doesn't speak to anyone. Oh, this only happens to like 1% of the world. You'll never make it. And then when I started on YouTube, it was people at university laughing at me, prank calling me, being like, oh my gosh, is this the Nimi Mehta? Oh my God, are you famous? You have 2 views on YouTube. And, you look back at that now and you're like, this is great. Okay, fine. You wanted to have some fun. But ironically now, it's the same people who are in my DMs saying, I always knew you would make it. So that actually created a fire in my belly. Like, I was like, okay, you think I can't do it?
I'll do it and show you.
Yeah, I'll do it and show you. And it started as wanting to prove to people. But at some point, it changed to just wanting to prove it to myself, for myself, not for anybody else. And still to this day, I would be lying to you if I told you I was 100% confident. I know that that's what I sell, and I know that's what I preach. But also, I think there's a side of confidence that people don't speak about, which is vulnerability. And I think saying that I don't feel my most confident self today is part of the process. Yes, I still have self-doubts. Yes, I still have that, negative voice telling me I can't do it. The difference between myself and somebody at the beginning of their journey is that I have the tools in place to overcome the self-doubt quicker.
Yeah.
And that's what I think confidence is. I think it's doubt management.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting take.
Yeah. It's the doubt that you have, being able to manage it, being able to reframe it, and being able to turn it into something that's working for you, and the speed at which you can do it. And I genuinely believe anybody in the world can master it.
So let's say, I know you said there's no magic trick to this in a bottle.
Yeah.
But if there's one thing someone has to do to enter a room and flip the fear, what is it? What should they tell themselves?
I think you need to tell yourself that your voice is worthy. And nobody else has to tell you this, but you need to tell you this. You need to hold a space for yourself. You need to give yourself permission. And I think that a lot of us women don't give ourselves permission. You know that statistic of a man and a woman applying for a job, and men, even though they are underqualified, will actually pitch themselves as if they are overqualified.
Yes.
And women, even though they are more than overqualified, will pitch themselves as if they're underqualified. And I think that as women, we don't give ourselves permission. We don't hold space for ourselves. So I would say that every room you step into, I would want you to, if we're talking about like technical, practical, and I'm imagining someone stepping into a room, I want you to breathe. I want you to pause. I want you to hold your center. And I want you to speak up only when it's worth speaking up. I don't want you to go to the other extreme now and be like the loudest person in the room, because I think there's a serious misconception about that being the loudest person in the room means you are the most confident in the room. Incorrect. If anything, when I go into a room and I see someone really loud and, they're showing a lot, I sit back and I'm like, I feel so sorry for them to a certain extent.
Yeah, because it is some sense of insecurity that's kind of being
showcased.
Yeah.
It's a show. I think there's such thing as silent confidence. And silent confidence is the most powerful one. It's where you step into a room, you don't need to speak, but your aura and your presence creates an energy in the room. And that can be cultivated, but it has to start with you believing it first.
Okay. So I think that first step is you believing that there needs to be a change.
Yes.
What's the second step?
The second step would actually start to act on it, right? We can sit here and believe all we want, but it's like the action.
Put in the work.
Put in the work. There is no easy 1, 2, 3 to this. Put in the work. Every day you decide that I'm going to walk into that meeting room, or I'm going to walk into that living room, or I'm going to walk onto that stage, and I am going to show up as future me, this person that I'm striving towards, that I really want to become, the people that I want to impact. I'm going to show up as her. It might not be perfect today. It might not be perfect tomorrow. But you know what? Every time I do it, a piece of the puzzle is going to join. And by the end of it, at some point, that puzzle is going to be whole. And that is what I'm striving towards. So show up as that person every single day in your personal conversations, at work with your colleagues. Start to do things that are very un-you. Because right now, the version of you isn't working for you. There's a reason for that. There's a reason you're sitting there feeling lost, insecure, like there's no space for you. So you're not happy with the current version of you. Okay, well, the only way to change that is to let go of that past version.
And do something different.
And do something different.